Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating, incredibly high-stakes logic behind international corporate-level strategy. If you've ever wondered how the absolute biggest companies in the world manage to wrangle their sprawling operations across borders, and why some completely adapt to their surroundings while others remain rigidly exactly the same everywhere they go, well, you are in the right place. Let's get right into it.
Think about this simple but profound question for a second. Why does an iPhone look exactly the same in every single country on Earth, but a McDonald's menu completely changes depending on what city you're standing in? It's something we see all the time, right? But behind that everyday contrast lies a massive, multi-billion-dollar strategic gamble being made at corporate headquarters.
So here's our roadmap to solve this puzzle. We're going to look at the global strategy puzzle itself, map out the two competing forces pulling at these corporations, and then explore the three distinct strategies they use to actually operate: multi-domestic, global, and transnational.
First up, the global strategy puzzle. Picture this. You're sitting at a firm's headquarters, you're expanding across borders, and you're staring down the ultimate multinational dilemma. Do we adapt to local cultural tastes, or do we force a single, highly efficient product everywhere? You see, an international corporate strategy dictates exactly how a firm structures itself to handle global markets. You have to decide incredibly early on if you can get away with one consistent business strategy across the entire globe, or if you actually need completely different playbooks for completely different local markets. And the financial consequences of getting this wrong, they can absolutely sink a company.
Moving to part 2, the two competing forces.
Imagine a giant corporate tug-of-war. On one side, we have our first force, local responsiveness. This is the intense, almost unavoidable pressure to tailor your products to regional cultures. Just look at the fast food industry. What people crave at a drive-thru in the Middle East is wildly different from what they want in North America. If you want to survive in a new region, you have to actively respond to domestic tastes, which literally means you have to radically alter what you sell based on where you are selling it.
Now, yanking hard in the exact opposite direction is global integration. This is the drive to completely ignore those local quirks and sell identical products everywhere to build massive economies of scale. In this camp, adapting to local markets doesn't really matter, because the real value comes from globally producing something on a staggering scale. It operates on the assumption that local tastes simply don't matter nearly as much as creating one highly efficient, highly centralized global machine.
All right, section 3. Let's look at our first actual strategy, multi-domestic, or thinking locally.
This is what happens when that tug-of-war leans heavily toward local cultures. You get the multi-domestic strategy, which means you have an extremely high need for local responsiveness, but a very low need for global integration. These organizations know that borders absolutely matter. Because they assume every market has unique needs, they heavily prioritize market effectiveness over sheer operational efficiency.
McDonald's hits the nail on the head here. Obviously, you cannot sell bacon in the Middle East or a beef Big Mac in India. So what does headquarters do? They essentially step back, hand the keys to the local managers, and let them completely redesign the menu to fight off specific regional competitors. In fact, this strategy is incredibly common in Europe, given it's made up of so many smaller countries with vast variations in language, culture, and taste. The local managers are the ones given the true power to decide what goes on the shelf.
But here's the catch. Since they aren't sharing standard assembly lines, how do they stay a unified company? They rely on corporate relatedness. Think of it like a global brain trust. Headquarters focuses on transferring human knowledge and problem-solving skills between these highly independent units. So if a branch in the Middle East faces a totally new supply chain challenge, headquarters might fly out experts from the US who've already cracked that exact code. They're sharing human capabilities, not factory parts.
Let's completely flip the script. Section 4, the global strategy and scaling standardized products.
Here, our matrix is turned totally upside down. These companies operate with virtually no need for local responsiveness, but they have an incredibly high need for global integration. The fundamental assumption here is bold. Local taste simply does not matter. Consumers are alike enough that one perfectly standardized product will fulfill their needs anywhere on the globe.
Think of heavy hitters like Apple, Intel, or Pfizer. They centralize their decision-making to sell you the exact same iPhone, microchip, or cholesterol medicine everywhere. Sure, maybe Microsoft has to tweak a browser setting to comply with European laws, but the core Windows operating system, it is perfectly identical worldwide. Headquarters calls all the shots, keeping the product aggressively standard. The local business units are just there to execute the plan. They aren't making strategic calls.
To drive their costs down to the absolute floor, they lean on operational relatedness. It's all about coordinating identical operations globally to achieve peak efficiency. By making sure business units aren't constantly reinventing the wheel in every single country, they eliminate resource duplication. Think about it. If Samsung finds a battery issue in a phone or Intel spots a huge security flaw in a processor, that is a globally integrated problem. They have to communicate and push a fix across all manufacturing units at the exact same time. It's a tremendous operational undertaking, but the economies of scale they achieve are absolutely massive.
Moving to Section 5, transnational, or the complex middle.
So what if a massive corporation literally wants to have its cake and eat it too? Enter the transnational strategy. This is the most demanding spot on our matrix. It requires both high local responsiveness and high global integration simultaneously. The firm is basically drawing a line in the sand saying, we refuse to sacrifice global efficiency, but we also fully recognize we have to accommodate local tastes. It's the ultimate strategic tightrope.
Coca-Cola is a masterclass in this balancing act. Their core back-end processes, the highly guarded secret formulas, the massive global bottling operations, all of that is heavily standardized. But they will tweak the final sweetener profile or adjust the packaging just enough to respect the specific regional tastes of wherever you're actually drinking it.
But make no mistake, attempting to be centralized and decentralized at the exact same time is wildly expensive and notoriously complex. They are essentially trying to execute corporate relatedness and operational relatedness completely simultaneously. As you can imagine, navigating that tightrope of local freedom and central control is a massive feat of management. The coordination required is just staggering. But the rewards are huge if a company can actually pull it off.
Finally, Section 6, choosing your strategy. Let's bring this all together. This matrix is essentially your cheat sheet. It clearly maps the trade-offs we've talked about. Multi-domestic prioritizes pure local effectiveness. Global prioritizes sheer, ruthless efficiency. And transnational? It's the holy grail, attempting to master both. When a company steps onto the world stage, they are effectively choosing their weapon for global domination based entirely on how much they value integration versus responsiveness.
It truly is an incredible balancing act of scale and culture. So I want to leave you with this question. The next time you interact with a major multinational brand, look just a little bit closer. Are you eating a localized burger built on cultural effectiveness, or are you holding a perfectly identical piece of technology built on global efficiency? The invisible strategies shaping our world are hiding in plain sight. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious.